Hello there. Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 8 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. Today I want to talk specifically to parents, people who deal with kids, about how to help kids self-regulate. You know, if you're a parent or if you've had anything to do with kids, you've probably had the experience of kind of the meltdown. You know, kids just get so irrational, they get so upset, and you try to reason with them and they just get worse, and you tell them something and they don't hear it. And so one of the things I always like to do is give parents as many tips as possible about how to help kids self-regulate so that you're not having to kind of manage the meltdown, so to speak. Now, here's something really, really important. The worst time to do this is while they're having a meltdown. And here's why. For those of you who follow my life from the top of the mind philosophy, you know we got these 3 parts of the brain. Lower part of the brain is called the brainstem. This is the fight or flight part. Upper 80% of the brain is what I call the top of the mind. This is the neocortex. This is where we and our kids have access to our clarity, confidence, creativity, compassion, etc. Middle brain is the limbic system. It's kind of the scanner, processor, router part of the brain. It determines whether data is thrown down into the lower brain or up to the top of the mind. So when a kid is having a meltdown, there's something that has happened that has really frustrated them or angered them or whatever, and their little brains aren't quite as developed as ours. Really, the executive function of the brain, these frontal lobes, won't be fully developed until around age 25. That doesn't mean that young adults can't make good decisions. It just means it's a little bit harder for them. I call it kind of working with one brain tied behind us. Little kids, it's almost impossible because when something happens and it frustrates them or it angers them, they just immediately go to that lower brain. And then when we try to tell them they shouldn't feel that way, or that try to explain to them why they shouldn't feel that way or whatever, they can't get it because they're not in the part of the brain that can process data. What they hear is, you're wrong, or you shouldn't be feeling the way you feel. And of course, what do? They just kind of start defending their right to feel or how they think and feel. So at that point, you basically just want to hold them and let them calm down. They will pretty quickly and eventually kind of be able to go on their way. Kids are pretty good at recovering from that kind of thing if we don't exacerbate the situation by telling them they shouldn't feel what they're feeling. What you want to do, if you really want to help your kids self-regulate, is catch them right after they've done something that just was a lot of fun. See, I talk about in my book the concept of highest purpose. What's the most important thing in our life? And for kids, I believe their highest purpose is to have fun. They wake up in the morning saying, man, how can I have fun? And sometimes they get frustrated when we get in the way of them having fun. So you want to catch them right after they've had fun, because they're now in the fun part of the brain. And say something like, wow, man, that looked like you were having a great time. And they'll go, yeah. And they'll tell you all about how much fun that was. What they're doing now is almost re-experiencing the fun. It's triggering actually certain chemicals, fun chemicals, serotonin, endorphins, and they're in this upper 80% of the brain. And then you can say, yeah, and you know, the other day, you know, when you were upset or when I was mad at you or when we were having an argument, that probably wasn't as much fun, was it? And they'll go, no, it wasn't. So I tell you what, if we could find a way to have more fun in the future and less kind of feel bad feelings in situations, is that something you would want? And I bet kids would go, yeah, how do we do that? You say, well, I've got an idea. Matter of fact, if I could show you a way of keeping me from being angry with you in the future, would you like to know how to do that? I bet their eyes are going to get really, really wide when you say that, because now what you're doing is telling them a way that they can have some influence over the situation. You're also setting up something with them that you want them to do for themselves, but you're going to be modeling that. Plus, wouldn't it be great if you or me or any of those parents that have kids again stopped getting angry with our kids? Because have you noticed that doesn't work? I mean, we don't feel good, they don't feel good. It kind of creates a cycle sometimes of resistance. Everybody walks away feeling bad. So if you told your kids, if there's a way for you to keep me from being angry with you in the future, would you like to know what that is? And again, I bet they'll go great. Says, okay, tell you what, let's do. Let's create a magic word. And anytime you say that magic word, if you see me starting to get angry, all you have to do is say the magic word and I'll stop Take a few deep breaths and I will calm down so that I don't get angry. Would that be cool? And kids love games and magic and that kind of stuff. So they'll go, yeah, this is great. So let them come up with the magic word, or you two come up with the magic word. Let's say it's bananas. You say, okay, I tell you what, let's see if it works. I'll start to get mad at you. You say the word bananas and let's see if we can make it work. So you go start to go, blah, 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 and then they'll go, bananas. And you go, okay, and then you say, how'd I do? The kids go, oh, you did great. You were so good. I said, okay, let's figure out a magic word for you because I know you don't like feeling bad. What would you like your magic word to be? And they'll come up with a magic word. Let's assume they say muskrat. You say, okay, great. Let's try it out. You start to get mad. I'll say muskrat. You stop, take a few deep breaths and see if you can kind of, come down and feel better. And so go. And they'll go, ram, 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 and you go, muskrat. And I bet they'll go, and you go, wow, that was so cool. You did that so well. I am so proud of you. Boy, you just learn things so quickly. They'll just beam and feel really good about that because now what they're hearing from you is how much you love them, but also how much you value them and how much you respect them. See, I think when we're talking with our kids, I think it's important to recognize that anytime we're talking to our kids, we're teaching them something, right? So in my seminars, I wrote this book called How to Get Kids to Do What You Want. And I have a lot of opportunities to do seminars on that. So when I'm asking my parents in the room, okay, what are the qualities? If every time we're interacting with our kids, we're teaching them something, everybody good with that? And they say, yeah. So if that's the case, what if the truth is we need to recognize that we're not really raising kids? We're not raising kids any more than a chicken farmer is raising chicks or a cattle farmer is raising calves. We're raising people. We're raising adults. So I tell you what, if anytime we're interacting with our kids, we're teaching them something and we're raising adults, what are the qualities and characteristics you want your kids to have when they become an adult? And they will say responsible and confident and kind and productive and resilient and empathetic and all good stuff. The one word they never say, and I've done this workshop maybe 500 times around the country, around the world even, and I ask this question, what are the qualities and characteristics you want your kids to have when they become an adult? One word that nobody ever says is obedient. And I think that's because when we want them to be adults, we want them to be able to think for themselves. We want them to have confidence in their own thoughts. If somebody tells them to do something that against their morals or against their values, we want them to have the confidence to say, I'm sorry, that's not who we are. In my humble opinion, obedience is something we teach our dog. We teach the young dog to be obedient because we want that dog to grow up and be an obedient adult dog. But again, we don't want our kids growing up and being obedient, respectful and responsible, absolutely. So here's the thing. If anytime we're interacting with our kids, we're teaching them something, we can't teach respect by being disrespectful. We can't teach being responsible by not taking responsibility for how we are. We can't teach cooperation by being uncooperative. So when we are able to show them how to self-regulate, how to kind of stop and take a deep breath and then choose how they want to feel, there's a model in my book that actually spells brain that you could teach to your kids. The first B in brain is breathe. So you want them to take a few deep breaths and then say the word relax on the exhale, that's the R, and then ask a question, how would I rather be feeling? Or how do I feel when I'm having fun? Or what was it like the last time I was having fun? Because remember, fun is their top of the mind. And then you want them to notice the change. So B-R-A-I-N, imagine a time that way, that's the I, and notice the change. You can teach them the brain model, or just have them breathe and, imagine what it's like having fun. That will get them there. But what we're beginning to do is to teach kids that they can begin to influence how they feel. This is a terrific lesson for kids to learn. When I go out and do my life from the top of the mind philosophy teachings to people around the world and around the country, they say, why didn't someone teach me this 20 years ago? Why isn't this taught in schools? So you can begin to have your little kid kind of learn how to self-regulate. Now, will it work every time? Probably not. But the idea is giving them that power of doing it. You might even make a star chart. You can have a star chart, they can have a star chart. So when you start to get angry and they go bananas and you breathe, you get to put a little star on there. Again, you're modeling what you want them to do. They'll feel right there with you and they'll feel so proud when they kind of fill their star chart and maybe get to, go to Toys R Us or pick a toy out or whatever. So what this is all about is helping you help them. Kids don't like feeling bad. They love to have fun. When they're having fun, they're coming from this upper 80% of the brain, and now you have a way of helping them get there, stay there, and get really good at this. Then you can begin to talk to them about what triggered them in the first place. So it's not about ignoring the problem, but it is about getting them to the part of the brain where they now can understand what you want them to learn, teach that quality or characteristic you want them to have when they become an adult. Hope you're enjoying these videos. I'm having a great time bringing them to you. I try to post one every week. If you like them, please hit the like button. You know how everybody loves it when you like it. Share it with your friends if you feel it's valuable. I post these on YouTube, obviously, and Facebook, and LinkedIn, and Twitter, and iTunes, so you can get them a lot of places. Also, each week I send out one of my favorite quotes along with 2 or 3 paragraphs about how to apply that quote to life. I use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to talk about all kinds of concepts and ways of being and ways of dealing with life. If you would like to receive my favorite quote each week, all you got to do is go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com. Just Google Bill Crawford, Ph.D. I'll come up on the first page. Hit the subscribe button, put your name and email address in. It's free. And each week I'll send you one of my favorite quotes. And if you would like me to come to your organization and teach everyone there how to actually access our clarity, confidence, creativity, compassion, our ability to deal with life from this clear, confident, creative part of the brain, I love to do that as well. Just go to the website, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in. Love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, here's to you, bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do, and I look forward to seeing you in the future.